dealt with it a lot over the years,
Yes.
where it's a kind of a frequent occurrence.
Yes.
It's probably, I would say, it's probably more common to be haunted by a family member than by a complete stranger. And I don't mean haunted in a way that, you know, it's unnerving and it puts you off, but to have frequent activity and frequent visitations.
It's one of the most common reports. A lot of people call it a crisis haunting. So that's nothing new. There's reports of that go back in history. So.
And you've had it happen to you.
I
You've
had
visitations.
it personally happen to me. Yes.
I've had it happen. I've had experiences with family members, but they were brief. You know, it was never anything that was prolonged over a period of time.
Right.
You know, it was usually my grandmother would come to me in dreams, but I would kind of count that as part of it. And then there was one time I saw my grandfather sitting in the chair. But I wrote about the story in Haunted Objects, but I'll just tell it briefly on the air. My grandparents' house, after they had passed away, my cousin was living in the house, and there was a fire, and the whole house burned down. And when we went to go try and salvage whatever we could, my grandfather had this ugly plastic flamingo in the garden that he kept out there that everybody hated and always told him to get rid of it, but he kept it out there anyway. And the flames from the fire had melted the flamingo into like just this pink pile of goo on a metal rod. So I was able to salvage the chair from his workshop in the basement where he used to sit and spend hours every day, you know, working, woodworking, whittling, stoking the fire, whatever he was doing. So I was able to salvage the chair. I brought that to, at the time I was living in my parents' basement, and I was in college at the time. So I put the chair in the basement, and I put the melted pink flamingo in the basement where I lived. And I woke up one night, and I look in the chair, and my grandfather's sitting in the chair. And I just kind of shake my head and think of it as I'm so used to seeing him there that I would expect to see him there. And then the second night, it happens again. And I think the second night he shook his head at me. And then the third night that happened, he pointed. These were literally 3 nights in a row. He pointed to the pink flamingo, like as if to say, "Get that out of here." And so I literally went outside at like 3 o'clock in the morning and took that thing and hucked it into the woods, never to be seen again. And I never saw my grandfather again after that. So, you know, it's one of those things where it does happen. But for some families, it's happening on a prolonged basis.